in general. So it's exciting to get more coverage, and we work really hard mentally and physically every day in the gym. Just to get more recognition is going to be really exciting.
Women have had these talents this whole time, and all it takes is a little bit of money, a little bit of exposure, and I think people are buying into that and they enjoy it.
I think I'm very proud to say that I'm a female athlete, because I think that women's sports in general over the past couple of years have been growing like I've never seen. Starting that trend that way is really special.
It's such a shock to people that college gymnastics is so energetic and so excited and happy. The higher the vibe, the better. I think it just puts us on a whole other pedestal. I think college gymnastics is already becoming more well known.
I hope that I can inspire any female athlete. It's exciting to have the platform and just to have the audience.
I think women's sports is booming and people are really paying attention to it recently, and I think it's really cool to see all those fans and how much they care about women in sports.
You've lived through this growth, this explosion really of women's sports, and talk about how it's impacted you and the world that we live in.
So John, I didn't start gymnastics until 2 years before Title IX was implemented. Of course, that was created to try to give equal opportunity to girls and women in sports. So the opportunities weren't there. We weren't necessarily encouraged to do sports. In fact, I really only saw gymnastics at the Olympic Games, and that's what, every 4 years. Now look where we are. We're seeing women on sports on television every single day. Gymnastics has just gone through the roof. So it's an exciting time to be in gymnastics.
Well, I'll tell you what, you don't have to be a female to be impacted by women's sports. And you know my idol, my sister Marie was a part of the team that you were on in '84, that Olympic team. And I tell you what, there's no person that I've ever met that's been tougher, stronger, and just more determined than my sister. She had a huge impact on me. And I'll tell you what, Paris Olympics are coming up this summer. If you want to look at one group that will win more medals than any other in the world, it's the U.S. women. You can take that to the bank. They are dominant. It is so exciting to see, and it goes way beyond just those young girls. It's young boys like me growing up admiring athletes like you, Kathy. So it's been great to see.
Shout out to my teammate, Marie Roethlisberger.
Thanks, Kathy. That's fantastic. We are through 2 rotations, and like I always say, the meet doesn't start till you go to balance beam, but right now, after 2, Clemson a 1/10 lead over the visiting Wolfpack. It was tied after 1. Now they got 1/10. Well, that balance beam's coming up for the Tigers. Rebecca Wells and her team will go there. Meanwhile, all-around star for the Wolfpack, Emily Shepard and her team go to floor. 1/10 lead by the home team, the Clemson Tigers. They had a good second rotation. All their counting scores above a 9.8. But 1/10, that is nothing, because now here we are in the second half, and that means balance beam. And here is the lineup for Clemson. Kathy, I know you love beam. You know I'm terrified of beam. I tell you, the meet never starts till you get to beam. It's the great equalizer. But this was your thing back in the day, right?
Absolutely, and the key to beam is, John, you have to love beam. You have to embrace the challenge and love the pressure. You need to be able to thrive on that.
Amy Smith giving some words of encouragement to freshman Lily Lippett. She will lead things off, and she is a rock star in this opening spot, says head coach Amy Smith. And she will need to be here. Such an important spot. Maybe one of the most, if not the most important lineup spots in all of women's gymnastics, that lead off on beam to get things going.
It is the money spot, and Lily is becoming a really consistent lead-off performer. When you can find the gymnast who loves this challenge and wants to take it on, this is half the battle on beam. Switch leg leap. Gymnast must perform 2 leaps connected. It's one of the special requirements on this event. Another is the acrobatic series, or a dance acro series right there, like that side aerial into a split jump. Split 3/4, little chest forward. So that's a balance correction. That'll be a slight deduction. Neat dismount here. Gainer front with a full twist. Again, chest was a little forward. It caused her to take a hop, but a really solid start for Clemson.
That is a unique
dismount.
dismount, yeah.
You won't see this often. We see the gainer back somersault with a full twist. This is a gainer, meaning off the one foot. She swings that leg through and goes forward and does the full twist.
So great start. Amy Smith did not lie. She is a rock star in that leadoff spot, is Lily Lippett. Now, can another freshman, Ellie Hadrick, do the same thing for NC State in the leadoff spot?
Ellie's a powerful tumbler and also shows good amplitude on her leaps.
Keep in mind, just 1/10 separating these two teams after two events. That is just a one small step of the foot separating these two squads.
Meaning watch these landings closely. The judges want to see that front foot stay down on the mat when they step into a lunge. If it slides, they'll take a slight deduction. Here's her leap series. Switch half to a wolf 1.5, a very difficult turn, rotation in the air. To a front layout, very high on the first skill. The second skill should have been a little bit higher.
So hit routine for both Clemson and NC State in the leadoff spot. Ellie Hadrick just getting it done here for the Wolfpack. Lily Lippett score 9.775 in the leadoff spot. Now Eve Jackson, she is also doing the all-around tonight.
She opens this routine with a triple series, which is connecting 3 skills back to back to back. They're acro skills. This will count as the acro series in terms of the special requirement, and she gets bonus for the difficulty in connecting all 3 elements. Switch leap to a cat leap half turn. You don't often see that second leap. She didn't quite have the amplitude I'd like to see. That looked like she got a little bit tight. Dismount, round up 1.5 twist, big hop forward. The highlight of the routine, this triple series. It's a back handspring into 2 layout step outs. And this is a good view for the judges to really see if the form is maintained. And you can really see just how narrow that beam is. 4 inches wide, and the coaches often stand right on the end to see that they keep the hips in line with the shoulders, center of gravity right over the middle of the beam.
Why did the coaches do that to themselves? It looked absolutely like torture. So stressful, that event. Now back over to floor. Ashley Knight in the 2 spot. Follows a 9.825 for Ellie Hadrick. A great starting score.
This first pass is a front double twist. That's an E skill, meaning the highest level skill. They're rated from A all the way through to E. A the easiest and E the most difficult. gymnast must also perform a combination pass, which is a tumbling run with 2 different saltos in it. That's a 1.5 twist to a layout step out.
Second hit routine now for the Wolfpack. Follows Eve Jackson from Clemson in her 9.7 on beam. Kathy, I'm curious, that mat right there, you usually don't see it in the middle of the floor. You see where the athlete lands. Obviously, they're allowed to do that. What's the point?
There's no deduction. It's called a sting mat, and it does exactly what it sounds like it does. It takes the sting out of a landing or a punch. It's just a protective mat that they're allowed to use.
Well, there you go. If you need to know something, you ask Kathy Johnson-Clark. Here we go back over to balance beam. A pair of 9.7s for Clemson to start things off. They had a 1/10 lead as Quinn Cool, the freshman, takes to the beam.
Another triple series here. This time it's 2 back handsprings to a layout step out. Oh. Unfortunately, a fall is 5/10 of a point deduction, and it's a good time to remind everyone that they can drop 1 low score, count the top 5 scores, so this will be the score they hope to drop.
Yeah, and the thing, Kathy, too, is they started with 2 scores in the 9.7s, a 9.775 and a 9.7. They're going to have to count both of those. Meanwhile, NC State on floor, starting with the score in the 9.8s. This is a chance for the Wolfpack to get the lead as they will have to go to balance beam in the last rotation. Big moment in this competition right now.
And you'll notice they keep fighting all the way through the routine because it is not over until it's over. You don't want to rack up any more deductions just in case this score has to count. Dismount, 1.5 twist, hop on the landing.
Disappointing for Quinn Cool, but again, they can drop that score. Top 5 scores count, but the pressure is on the rest of the Clemson Tiger lineup on that event. Tomorrow night, after our men's basketball doubleheader, the Nothing But Net crew will break down the day in the ACC with highlights, analysis, and more right here on the ACC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app. Knight in the second spot for the Wolfpack, a 9.875. So I mentioned a big moment in this meet for both of these teams. Clemson having trouble on beam, but NC State looking strong on the floor exercise, and their third gymnast to go, Krista Zultovic, now with a chance to get a hold of the lead, maybe significantly for the Wolfpack.
Complex open tumbling run. It's a 2.5 twist right here into a punch front. That punch front should have been higher. It really needs to show more rise on the second somersault. Judges look for the shapes on these leaps. You need to see a full split in the leap and a complete rotation if they're doing the turning leaps. Just look at the shape in the air on these tumbling passes. This is a double tuck. You want a nice tight tuck position. A little bit of flex in the feet there. I know it sounds impossible to keep those toes pointed while you're tumbling.
So big hit for Krista Zultovic. Here's another look at the last pass.
Difficult to do a double back at the end. I love the height. She cowboys just a little bit. That's a term we use when you pull your legs out to the side so the knees aren't together. It's called a cowboy and a slight deduction.
But she had the tongue wag, Kathy, when she landed, so I think she liked it. And it is a hit routine, and it's a hit routine at a big moment because Quinn Cool for Clemson, a 8.975 for that beam routine. And they are still having a conversation about it. Kathy, routines that have mistakes oftentimes harder to judge than near perfect routines, right?
Yes, because in order to determine the start value of the routine, the gymnast has to fulfill the special requirements, of which there are many on each event. And if they don't, there's a flat deduction that they have to take. So judges have to determine whether they give credit for a connection. If they fall, if they don't get both feet on the beam, they may not get credit for doing that combination. They won't get the bonus. So the start value will be lower.
Here we go with redshirt senior Rebecca Wells in a huge moment. You can see the scores on the right there. Are going to have to count those 9.7s. She is a veteran, the type of athlete you want to have up. But the meat is on the line, and honestly, big picture, both of these teams could win the first ever ACC regular season title. It could pivot on this routine and the next two right here, right now.
And this is a difficult leap series. She managed it. They will take a deduction for her lifting her foot to correct her balance. But I love to see that turn-jeté three-quarter. It's like a turn-jeté with an additional quarter turn in the air. Solid as can be on the back handspring layout.
Don't forget Rebecca not feeling well this week either, Kathy. And now here she is in the biggest pressure moment of the meet.
And what I like, John, is that her confidence grew throughout the routine. She just got stronger and stronger as she went. Great beamer.
That was a big beam routine. Got things back on track. 2 gymnasts to go now for Clemson on balance beam. They've got to have 2 hits.
Here's the series. Watch this. It's a turn-jeté and then an additional quarter turn to land sideways. Anytime you land where you cannot see the beam and you're looking straight out the side, it's more difficult.
So she kept it on the beam. The most important thing for Rebecca Wells as they wait for the judges' score there. Krista Zultovic a 9.85. So all 3 scores for the Wolfpack, 9.825 or better, as Maddie Hall now begins her routine.
Maddie opens with a tuck double back. Again, look at the shape in the air. Bends the legs into that tuck position. The foot slid back just a little bit on that landing. As we talked about, the level of difficulty, you want to see as many E passes as possible. That's the highest level of difficulty. The presentation, the artistry. The judges are looking at the choreography, the musicality, the straight legs, and the precise footwork. Of course, these landings on the tumbling pass is so critical. Her chest was down and she stepped forward, so she was under-rotated. Difficult turn there. That's called double L turn. She needs to hold the leg in that parallel position for the 2 full revolutions of the turn. 1.5 to front layout, again slightly under-rotated. Little deductions that just add up in a meet this close.
Yeah, Kathy, it's going to be interesting to see how the judges decipher those deductions, because you mentioned a lot of little ones, right?
Yes. Every landing is scrutinized. The form in the air is scrutinized. Notice how she stepped forward again. That shows under rotation and her chest was forward. You want to land with your chest up high and no steps other than a controlled step into the dance or lunge.
That was Philip Ogletree along with Kim Landris talking to Maddie Hall after that routine. Now Kyla McCrite, the 5th gymnast to go. She follows Rebecca Wells' 9.85. So Rebecca did her job, stopped the bleeding, but 2 more hit routines is what the Tigers need.
This is one of my favorite routines here in the competition. She is so elegant and precise. Back handspring layout, step out. Beautiful execution. Lovely posture. Love how she tucked those toes underneath and stood on top of the feet. Difficult jump. Tucked up with a full turn. That's a significant balance break. Side air. tell she's getting cautious. She rushed that second leg down, and when you do that, your chest is still down low, and you run the risk of losing your balance. Gainer full off the side. Oof.
Flirted with danger a little bit on that one, Kathy. On that
Yeah,
routine.
she saved it. Didn't get a huge deduction, but significant ones for the balance breaks.
So back over to floor exercise. Maddie Hall a 9.65. Next up, Emily Shepard. And she is really a great leader for this team. But Kathy, really a leader beyond just her team. She represented NC State at the recent NCAA Leadership Conference.
Leadership, such an important quality in gymnastics, especially team gymnastics, when everybody has to be on the same page at the same time.
Emily was leading the all-around competition. Her and Eve Jackson going head-to-head in that category. Needs a 9.6 or better to maintain that lead over Jackson.
Now you'll see a double back, this time in piked position. The legs stay straight. They'll slide back into the lunge. I like the details in this room. Really nice, clean footwork. Combination pass, front layout to a front full. Knees were a little bit soft in the first layout. This is also a double back, this time in tuck position. See if she keeps that front foot down. Stepped forward, it was controlled, but the judges could take a deduction for under rotation. She covered it really well. It was a lovely routine.
A great routine and a big moment too for NC State. She's following a 9.65, the score they will not want to count if they can get 2 more hits.
So there are 3 different shapes you can do in a double back. She did 2 of them, a piked and then a double back. Of course, some gymnasts do that in layout position, which is the most difficult.
Emily was an individual qualifier to the NCAA Championships in 2021. Great athlete. We just got done with a meeting of the minds over at Balance Beam, Kathy. They were talking about that last score. When you gotta wait, Kathy, when you're used to a rhythm, how hard is it to wait for a judges conference while you're in that rhythm and that timing? You know it in your head, but it gets disrupted.
Trust me, John, these coaches and these athletes run scenarios in their training to practice for this very likelihood. Whether it's a conference or an injury or something, gymnasts have to train, keep their mind tight, and be able to refocus and time when they start telling themselves their preparation cues.
So now in the new biggest moment of the meet for the Clemson Tigers, we have a freshman. This is Sierra Church now in the anchor spot. Keep in mind, they already counted a fall.
What an opportunity for this young gymnast, and she has stunning performance quality if she can just keep the nerves in check. There's her acro series, back handspring, layout, step out. And the smile was as big as the skill.
Kathy, that Kylan McCrite score an 8.9 right before Sierra Church. I know she had some openings for deductions, but I didn't expect that, did you?
Yeah, well, as I said, when you have the balance breaks that she has, they're more significant. She covered them well, but that chest went over, and that's a much bigger deduction.
So that
Nice
means
position.
they will count a fall. Will Clemson. They will count a score in the 8, something you absolutely cannot do in a competition like this.
the dismount to round off to a 1.5 twist. If you can get the stick, you fight for every 10th of a point in this position. Oh, big step there. But she handled the pressure as a freshman, anchoring a routine, coming after a fall and a broken routine. So as I said, she took this opportunity and ran with it. A little nervous throughout, but fought hard to the very end.
So Clemson huddling up after that beam rotation that was not ideal, certainly for them. But another rotation to go, and it happened at the same time that Emily Shepard scored a 9-9, the first 9-9 plus of this competition. Now Chloe Negretti has to go, trying to drop that 9.65 and really put some distance between themselves and the Clemson Tigers here.
As I mentioned at the top of the show, she has a unique style and presentation. High double back, nice control. To a front tuck, needed a little bit tighter tuck. Was a little off kilter on that middle leap, middle jump. I love the dramatic intensity of this routine. The seriousness is so expressive. On her double pike, she showed really nice lift and set. Notice how she was almost laid out before she piked. And double tuck, just a slight hop forward into the lunge.
Coach Philip Ogletree giving them some words of encouragement, as is Kim Landris, as they get ready for the last rotation. I'll tell you what, we have a good one here in Clemson. NC State trying to give Clemson the first loss in the history of their program. There can only be one first, and they want to be it. Beam stands between them and victory.